Hi everybody. Now I've come to the end of my time in Vietnam, my almost 3 months on motorbike. I thought I'd just spend a few minutes just to talk about the route that I took and the reasons why I took them and the conditions, etc. So just a few minutes. I want to say the big picture first. I didn't have a detailed plan. I think having a detailed plan of your route around Vietnam is a big mistake, right? What I had was some kind of general ideas. I know I wanted to do the north and spend quite a long time there. And then I knew I wanted to do certain parts of the Central Highlands and also get down to the Mekong River Delta. And that was about it, with a time frame roughly of 3 months. So what drove my decisions? Well, let's follow my route, shall we? I landed in Hanoi on the 25th of November, and I spent 4 days there to kind of get used to Vietnam, although I had been before, see what I wanted to see in Hanoi before picking up my motorbike. I think it was on the 28th or 29th, I think it was 29th of November. I picked it up from Tigit, their shop in Hanoi, and it was a Honda Winner 150cc 6 manual speed with a clutch lever and also fitted with 2 pannier boxes and a rear rack, so it was ideal for me. So I set out from Hanoi, about a 4-hour drive, 4.5-hour drive I think it was, to my first stop here, which was a place called Bac Can. And I stayed there the night of the 29th of January. That was really just a stopover on the way to here, which was my second stop. And I must apologize for my poor Vietnamese pronunciation, but this was Ban Gioc, B-A-N, and then the second word G-I-O-C, right on the Vietnamese China border. So why did I choose there? As some of you will probably know, it's a very famous waterfall, and that's why I went, and it didn't disappoint. The waterfall was beautiful, and I was blessed with good weather, had an amazing homestay. It was absolutely wonderful, and I stayed there from the 30th of November to the 3rd of December. In order to get there, I had to go through Cao Bang, which is beautiful. It's all the limestone casts, those limestone jagged mountains. Didn't actually stay in Cao Bang, but I went through there and I enjoyed it so much, I thought I'd do almost the same route back, which is what I did because I wanted to take my time. And I had about a 5 or 6 hour journey all the way to here, which was a small place called Ban Ni in Nha Hang. And again, I had a really nice homestay there from the 3rd to the 5th of December. Then I had a choice, I had a dilemma. Should I do Hai Yang Loop? Now, I'm fortunate, I am legal, so I don't have any worries. I have a motorbike home license and a 1968 IDP. But I drove up to Hai Yang area, not the loop, but the area, and I was already pulled over 3 times by the police. Each time I was stopped, it was no problem, but it was just irritating. And then, if someone wants to find something wrong with your bike, they could always find something wrong in any country, right? So for this reason, around Hai Yang Loop, I decided to go on the back of a local Vietnamese guy, and of course we never got stopped once. So I did the loop. Beautiful, amazing. I've got a couple of videos on that. The downside is the Hai Yang Loop is that every accommodation is blasting out karaoke at about 1,000 watts. It's okay, I guess, if you're 17 or 18 or 20 or something, it's fine. But for me, an older guy, it was a little bit much. But I was prepared, I had heard about that. And even every coffee shop has music blaring out. So rather than take in the peaceful vistas and, contemplate the views and collect your thoughts. BT music all the time, which again, I guess it's fine if you're 20 something or a teenager or something. So that's my little moan about that. And I went right round the loop, beautiful, back to Ha Yang City. And then after that, I actually went back to Ban Mi. Why did I go back to Ban Mi? I went back to Ban Mi because I'd left my motorbike there. That's why. So then after that, I was taken back there to Ban Mi to collect my motorbike. And then I had the most wonderful night, the night of the 10th of December, in a place called Phong Nguyen, which I'm pronouncing terribly, but it was a wonderful homestay here called Tay Eco House, and I thoroughly recommend it. It was gorgeous, unbelievable. The only negative thing was it was rather cold and there was no heating, but it was gorgeous. And then after that, I proceeded to Sapa, right? Sapa. So I drove across to Sapa. Some people say it's a tourist trap. Yeah, it may be, but it's a nice town and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I had a really, really nice homestay out of town, right in the countryside. And because I had a motorbike, I could zip in and enjoy the town whenever I wanted to. I really enjoyed Sapa. Great coffee shops too. So after Sapa, I went to Lai Chau, which is here. Lai Chau, very nice town. I had a nice hotel. I stayed there. I got bitten by a dog. Now, fortunately, I have had my rabies shots, but I went and had an extra one at the local clinic just in case. So after Lai Chau, I then went to somewhere I really wanted to go from a history point of view, that not that many people go, I don't think, these days, because it's a bit far. That's a place called Dien Bien Phu. Dien Bien Phu is this was a lovely smooth drive all the way down here, Dien Bien Phu on the Lao border. It's important, as some of you may know, because that's a place where the Viet Minh defeated the French and led to Vietnam's, well, supposedly independence petition, as it turned out. So after Dien Bien Phu, I went to Mu Cang Chai. Again, I apologize for my pronunciations. That was a lovely drive. There was only one thing wrong: crazy trucks, and they nearly put an end to my life. There was two big trucks coming round a blind bend on both sides of the road. Luckily, I was alert, and I was kind of anticipating this sort of crazy driving because I'd seen a lot already, and I had to go right up into the hedge, basically to save my life, you know. And I did, and I mean, I was fine, and I just brushed against the hedge. But you know, my God, you have to be careful because life's cheap, right? To the truck drivers, anyway. Mu Cang Chai was beautiful. It was very, very nice place. I recommend going. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Lots of really nice scenery there. Lots of nice rice fields as well. I then went down to Tram Tau. Mu Cang Chai. Tram Tau here. Tram Tau, I stayed in the hot spring resort, which was really nice. I was swanning around in the hot spring swimming pool. Really enjoyed that. And then on to Bac Yen, which is down there. Bac Yen was, again, a lot of scenic places, but I caught that on a weekend and there was a lot of traffic, unfortunately. But anyway, it was okay. After after Bac Yen, getting mixed up here, I went to the most beautiful place, Mai Chau. Right, Mai Chau. So that's down here. Mai Chau, beautiful rice paddies. I had a gorgeous thatched roof, you know, homestay, and it's just a chill place. If you want to go there for the karaoke, get wasted and party, it's not the place for you. But if you want to go and appreciate real rural Vietnamese life and appreciate the beauty of Vietnam, I recommend Mai Chau. From Mai Chau, I went down to Ninh Binh. Ninh Binh a lot more famous. It's a beautiful place. I really enjoyed it. I had a lovely homestay outside of the town, convenient with my motorbike for going into the town, did some boat trips, stuff like that. Really, really nice. I stayed there over Christmas. That's where I spent Christmas. I stayed there for about 4 days. Really enjoyed Ninh Binh. Now, after Ninh Binh, I wanted to go down to Phong Nha, right? But it's really, that would have been about a 7-hour drive, and I tried to keep my drives comfortable on the motorbike. Try not to do more than 4.5 hours, try to average about 3 hours. So 7 hours, I didn't want to do that. So I had an overnight in Vinh, and I stayed in it's a fine hotel, but Vinh is boring, in my opinion. There was nothing much there, and the drive is along Highway 1, so lots of trucks and not that fun, to be honest. Up here, was all these drives were beautiful, gorgeous scenery, you know. Some places had, and quite a few had, landslip residues, and the roads were in really quite a poor condition. So I struggled with my motorbike. I got through, but because I had all my weighted luggage on the back and the motor scooter's quite light, it was a bit top heavy, so it was difficult. I mean, I did it, no problem, but it wasn't easy. This road is a fast road, no problem, so I went overnight in Vinh and then down to Phong Nha, which is gorgeous. And I had a lovely homestay in Phong Nha. The only downside, the room was full of rats because they came in through the ceiling every night and they woke me up. But yeah, you know, I don't know what to do about that, so I didn't want to make a fuss. But so I shared my room with a bunch of rats making noises all night. Great, Phong Nha great for caves, and I had some great trips in the caves. It's all on the videos in my YouTube channel. I then went to, again, I apologise for my mispronunciation, Quang Tri, right? Phong Nha, Quang Tri. Why did I go to Quang Tri? Well, I'm interested, not fanatically, but I am interested in the American war in Vietnam, and Quang Tri was the place of some very, very sad events. And I visited a school there, which was just, all that's left is bits of walls blown up by the Americans, you know. The whole town of Quang Tri was completely flattened almost. Hardly anything remained apart from this school, and that was just a wreck, you know. So seeing that was upsetting, actually. But I still wanted to see it. After that, I then continued my war history journey, if you like, and went up to Khe Sanh. That was the very famous air base that was sieged by the National Liberation Front, so-called Viet Cong, in 1968, early 68, prior to the Tet Offensive. So I went up there. It was a nice drive up there, and it was very interesting going round. I went round the old air base. There's not that much left, but still some. And I drove up to the border with Laos. I didn't cross the border. I just drove up to it to take a look. And then after Khe Sanh, one other thing I did do in Khe Sanh is I took a trip along the Ho Chi Minh Road. Right, it's the Ho Chi Minh Road, not the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which is in Laos, right? And that was really, really nice. It was a narrow road, like single track, but it was great driving, and I enjoyed that. I had a stopover in a place called A Luoi, A and then Luoi. That was here, and that was just to break the journey up. Because the journey to Hue, which was my destination, was too long. I didn't want a 6-7 hour journey in one go. So I had a lovely homestay, although it was raining the whole time I was there, so I couldn't really get out and do much. So after that, I went down to Hue, and that was really great. I've been to Hue a few times before and seen what was left of the Forbidden City there, the Citadel, and they've done a lot of repairs. I mean, well, the first time I went, it was a war zone still. I mean, it was just rubble everywhere, holes in the wall. So they've rebuilt a lot of it, which I don't think they should rebuild too much of it. I think they should preserve some of the damage, in my view anyway, to remind people of what happened there. So I had a great time in Hue, had a good homestay there, stayed, I think it was 3 or 4 nights in Hue. And after Hue, I went down to Hoi An, right, which is Hoi An is down there. I didn't stop in Da Nang. I've been to Da Nang before many times. I drove through Da Nang, but I thought, well, I don't really have a reason to stop there. I had a lovely little hotel in Hanoi, not Hanoi, Hoi An, not Hanoi. A lovely little hotel in walking distance to the town centre there. And I spent a lovely 3 or 4 days there from January the 9th to January the 12th. Really enjoyed Hoi An. Everyone knows it's a lovely place, and indeed it was. I then went back to my wartime trekking and went to a place called My Lai. And I don't know if you know what happened there, My Lai. My Lai was a place where the American so-called GIs massacred over 500 unarmed children, women, and elderly men, not of fighting age men. And they also reportedly gang raped children as young as 12. So what happened there was just disgusting. And it's preserved, the whole site, and I had a good walk around there. And I don't know, I mean, I had to hold the tears back. It was, and then I did some research and found out what happened to the GIs that committed these atrocities. And the answer is nothing. First of all, the Americans tried to hide it for a year, but then there was a whistleblower and it all came out. And the only person that got court-martialed was the captain or lieutenant or the boss of the platoon that did the damage anyway. And he was given 3 years, well, he was given longer than that. He was given house arrest, or house confinement in his own house in the States. And then after 3 years, I think it was Nixon just pardoned him. So no one, one guy got 3 years house arrest, house confinement for the massacre of over 500 unarmed women, children, elderly men, and all the gang rapes. And anyway, so I thought I needed to experience where that happened, because I remember as a child when it did happen, hearing it on the news, I mean. So right, enough about that. And then after that, I went to Tra Mai. I didn't stay there long because I really wanted to get to Mang Den, and Mang Den was gorgeous. I absolutely loved it. The home stay I had there was just awesome, and take a look, it's on the video. It was one of my favorite home stays. Really, really nice home stay. So I stayed there from the 14th to the 17th of Jan, and then I went on to can't pronounce Koi Non, is it? The coastal resort. Anyway, here. Have I got that right? No, I'm sorry. Here, Mang Den is here, right? Queen on the coastal resort. I stayed there, and then after that, just got my notes. I had one night in a place called T-U-Y and then Hoa. Hoa, which was kind of between them here. And that was okay. And then I had 2 or 3 nights in Nha Trang, which, Nha Trang, right? I mean, wasn't really bothered. I mean, it was very nice, but I'm not really into big resorts, so it depends what turns you on, right? Then I went down to Phan Rang. Very nice to see all the temples there and stuff like that. Stayed there a couple of nights. And then from Phan Rang, which is down here now, I went up to Dalat. And Dalat was gorgeous. I stayed in an old French colonial era hotel. I thought I'd splash out a bit, and it was gorgeous. I really enjoyed Dalat. Excellent vegan food there. Sorry, I'm a vegan too. So if you're interested in a great place to go, Dalat in the mountains there. It's quite high up. It's about 1,500 meters. So it gets quite cold at night this time of year, but it's okay during the day. So I stayed there from the 25th to the 28th of January. After Dalat, where did I go? I can't pronounce these names. Da Huai. And that one was here. That was just a halfway stop between Dalat and Ho Chi Minh. So that was the only reason I stayed there. So it's like 3.5 hours. I had overnight in Ho Chi Minh to drop some of my warm weather clothes there at Tijik Motorbikes, because obviously I don't need the warm clothes in the south, right? So then I just had one overnight in Ho Chi Minh, Saigon, and then went down. The next stop in the Mekong Delta was Vinh Long, and Vinh Long was gorgeous. I stayed on the other side of the river from Vinh Long, right on the banks of the Mekong. Again, you can see this on the videos. It was a gorgeous homestay, really, really nice. And then I was there for 3 nights, and then I went on to Can Tho, which is about 1.5 hours drive, which is here. And then after Can Tho, while I was in Can Tho, I had a day trip to Soc Trang, which is down here, the most southerly point of my visit. Why did I go to Soc Trang? I went to Soc Trang to see the big bats, the big, huge fruit bats, which they're like, a meter, half a meter wingspan. And I saw them all hanging up on the tree there by the temple, so that was interesting. Then after that, I thought, right, time to go back. So I had about a 4-hour drive all the way back to Ho Chi Minh, where I am at the moment. And since I've been in Ho Chi Minh, I've been to the Cu Chi tunnels yesterday. Today I've been touring around different famous spots in Ho Chi Minh. Tomorrow I'll do the same. And then the day after that, I've got to take the bike back and give it back to Tijik, because the following day I'm going back home to Hong Kong. So I just thought I'd share all that with you, right? Because it really has been a journey of a lifetime. It's been absolutely fantastic. And if you're thinking of doing something like this, I thoroughly recommend it. But make sure you stay safe. You should have some motorbike experience. You need to be very, very careful of the trucks, because they are lethal if you're not careful, right? And think about the risks of driving illegally, right, without the proper license. I'm not saying do or don't, that's your decision, not mine, right? But if you're going to not have all the correct license, do not go to Ha Yang, because you are guaranteed to get pulled up time and time again by the police. When I was in Ha Yang, they would drive past me, the police, see I was a foreigner, you can tell, right? Do a U-turn and chase me down to pull me up. It kept happening. So I don't recommend you do Ha Yang unless you are totally legal. And even then, prepared to be harassed by the police and stopped every 2 minutes. So that's it. Any questions I'm happy to answer, please ask in the comments. But wow, what a trip.